Your Excellency, the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the Attorney General, the PS for Foreign Affairs, the PS for Constitutional Affairs, representatives of the Diplomatic Corps, the development partners, the civil society, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my single most pleasure to honor the Commission on Administrative Justice to have this opportunity to brief Your Excellency on a strategic national undertaking that is firmly anchored in our Constitution and the statutes, which is the development of Kenya's inaugural State of Openness Report. Your Excellency, the Commission appreciates your continued commitment to strengthening transparency, accountability, and citizen-centered governance. We welcome this opportunity to engage you at the commencement of this national initiative. Allow me to, Your Excellency, to give the mandate of the Commission as established under Article 59(4) of the Constitution and the Commission on Administrative Justice Act and the Access to Information. Our mandate includes promoting administrative justice through addressing maladministration, safeguarding accountable public administration, overseeing and enforcement of the access to information under Article 35 of our Constitution. In addition, the Commission serves as a co-lead in the Open Governance Partnership, working alongside the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora in implementing and building the Open Governance Resilience Commitment. This places the Commission at the center of Kenya's open governance architecture. Your Excellency, the State of Openness Report is not intended to be another government publication. It is a national government measurement framework designed to assess the extent to which the openness is being realized across public institutions and whether our governance systems are delivering on the constitutional promise of transparency, accountability, and citizen participation, as well as access to information. The Commission has commenced the development and intends to publish the inaugural report, as the Vice Chair said, sometimes in later the year. We want that to coincide with the 10 years anniversary of access to information. Your Excellency, Kenya has made remarkable progress in establishing constitutional guarantees and legal framework of promoting openness in government. The Constitution entrenches transparency, accountability, the rule of law, and public participation as national values. The Access to Information Act operationalizes the constitutional right of access to information. The initiative equally aligns with the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda and the fourth-term medium plan 2023-2027 and the commitments under the Open Government Partnership. Yet the Commission continues to discharge its mandate. One reality consistently emerges. While the legal and institutional framework is strong, implementation has not always kept pace with the legislative intent. Your Excellency, the Commission continues to observe persistent governance challenges that require deliberate national attention. This includes the disclosure of public information, weak records management system, entrenched institutional culture of secrecy, growing misinformation and disinformation that thrive where credible public information is unavailable. These challenges weaken institutional responsiveness, undermines meaningful citizen participation, erodes public trust, and ultimately diminishes the confidence in democratic governance. The State of Openness Report therefore seeks to answer one fundamental question: are Kenya's governance reforms translating into measurable openness and better outcomes? Your Excellency, allow me to state that this would be the first national baseline on openness. We believe in getting evidence-based information so that we can address the challenges that we face that will be identified. It will become an annual national governance scorecard measuring the institutional performance in transparency, accountability, citizen participation, access to information, and responsiveness in public service delivery. Beyond measuring compliance, the report will generate credible evidence to guide the governance reforms, strengthen the implementation of access to information. As Kenya approaches the 2027 general election, the report will also serve as an important governance instrument for identifying systemic weakness that may affect the democratic confidence. Your Excellency, in appreciation to the assessment, there will be national in scope. The successful delivery will require institutional and capacity resources and policy enabling environment. Accordingly, the Commission respectfully seeks Your Excellency's support in three critical areas. First, the facilitation of the whole government cooperation to ensure timely, accurate, complete provision of information throughout the assessment period. Second, enhanced budgetary support to enable the national implementation of the exercise, estimated at about Kenya shillings 100 million, thereby ensuring comprehensive coverage, technical credibility, successful publication of the inaugural report. Third, Your Excellency, the continued support and the prioritization and expeditious enactment of the Whistleblower Protection Bill, and I'm glad the Honorable Attorney General is here present, and the peers who we've been working with on this is also present, so that which will be a critical pillar of Kenya's open governance framework. The protection of whistleblowers will strengthen transparency, reinforce accountability, encourage reporting of corruption, maladministration, and complement the objectives of the State of Openness Report. These interventions will provide the necessary foundation for the successful implementation of the initiative and furthering strengthening the governance and accountability infrastructure. Your Excellency, the Commission would also be greatly honored if you would graciously accept our invitation to preside over the official launch of the Kenya's inaugural State of Openness Report, which we had hoped will be able to mark during the International Day of Universal Access to Information. Your presence then would underscore the government's commitment to transparency, accountability, and citizens' governance. Your Excellency, the State of Openness Report is more than a technical assessment. It is envisioned that as Kenya's national accountability mirror, reflecting how government is experienced by the citizens and providing the objective measure of how effectively institutions are delivering on the constitutional promise. The Commission remains fully committed to implementing this initiative with independence, integrity, professionalism, and technical credibility. We respectfully look forward to Your Excellency's support and the whole government cooperation as we undertake this historic national assessment. I thank you, and God bless you. God bless Kenya.
Thank you, Commissioners Dulo and Commissioner Dorothy, for this elaboration on the State of Openness Report. Your Excellency, before I yield the floor to our development partners, allow me to invite Dimas Kiprono, who will speak on behalf of civil society very briefly. Thank you, Your Excellency. Dimas.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the Honorable Attorney General, PSs for Diaspora Affairs and Foreign Affairs and Constitutional Affairs, the Diplomatic Corps, members of the civil society, good morning. Mine is just to give a civil society perspective to these developments. Our constitutional democracy demands transparency, and transparency cannot be measured without the free flow of information. And our laws, including the Access to Information Act, our national values require that information is given and that information actually belongs to the people and the government holds it in trust. And so our legal frameworks have really brought out this important aspect. And for us to be standing here or seated here today to begin that process of measurement is important, because we cannot learn without having the data that underpins the programs that we are undertaking. And so as civil society and as partners in the Open Governance Initiative, we are very privileged and happy that this initiative is being done, and we look forward to the exercise and the report that will come out of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dimas. Your Excellency, allow me then to request our development partners to make very, very brief comments. We could start with High Commissioner Matt, Ambassador Sebastian, the representative of the EU, UNODC, and the World Bank, in that order, if possible. Ambassador Matt, please.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, Your Excellency, Attorney General, distinguished members of the government, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning on this glorious Nairobi morning. It is a pleasure to address this gathering on behalf of the UK, and a privilege to co-chair the Open Government Development Partners Group alongside Kenya. Your Excellency, Kenya's commitment to the Open Government Partnership deserves recognition. As we've heard, open government it's not a bureaucratic exercise. It's a constitutional undertaking. It's the foundation of democratic legitimacy, public trust, and indeed economic confidence. We know that transparent, accountable governments attract investment, reduce the cost of doing business, and deliver better outcomes for our citizens. Good governance and economic growth, therefore, are not in tension. They are inseparable. That's why the UK strongly endorses Kenya's commitments under its 5th National Action Plan on beneficial ownership, transparency, open procurement, and public participation, to name but a few. These are not abstract principles. They are the reforms that make Kenya more transparent, more competitive, more trusted, and more resilient. We are, as the UK, committed to support their implementation alongside your government's partners, including those here in this fine pavilion this morning. The State of Openness Report, therefore, is to be welcomed. It will be an incredibly valuable tool, not just for measuring progress towards greater openness, but for driving it. for deciding upon the deliberate actions that can strengthen Kenya's open society, as I say, to attract the investment, harness the talent, and strengthen the international partnerships that, quite frankly, all our economies need in the 21st century. The Commission's spearheading of this new report, therefore, should also be commended, and my thanks to them and the Commissioner for their leadership and the thoroughness with which they are approaching this undertaking. Kenya is well placed to deliver a vibrant civil society, a dynamic technology sector, the institutions with the capacity to innovate. The ingredients are all here. The commitment, the focus, and the plan to deliver, as we've heard from both the PS and the Commissioner, are now essential to strengthen Kenya's important and continued national undertaking. I'm speaking not as an observer, but as a partner, frankly, with some skin in the game and some experience to share. We were a founding member of the Open Government Partnership in 2011. We continue, as the UK, to strive for greater openness ourselves, and British citizens continue to benefit from the reforms we are making on beneficial ownership, open contracting, freedom of information, and access to justice. It's a journey. Later this year, the UK will take on the co-chairmanship of the Open Government Partnership. Our priorities will be how we can harness technology to strengthen our governance, how we can continue together to tackle illicit finance, and how, together as partners, we can defend and strengthen civic space. Priorities I know we share. I therefore look forward to continuing this work with your government, with the Commission, and with our partners here today, together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, High Commissioner Matt, for your comment. Ambassador Sebastian, please.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Your Excellency, President of the Kenyan Republic, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Attorney General, PS Foreign Affairs Diaspora, PS Constitutional Affairs, representatives of the Government of Kenya and of the civil society, and my colleagues from the Diplomatic Corps. Please allow me to make three very brief remarks. One on the ambition of this commission that was very credibly presented this morning. I really would like to commend you on your very ambitious timetable, delivering a report in November already, and also on your data-based approach. I think this is exactly the right way to tackle the things and the challenges that we are talking about this morning. My second remark is on the timing. I think it's a very good initiative to put this report into place and into action at this very moment. Democracies around the world are under a lot of pressure, and I think this effort in transparency and data delivering can also help to re-establish the trust between the citizens and the governments in our democracies. And I can tell you we have the same discussion in Germany. It's not a Kenyan, it's not an African discussion. And my third remark is on the partnership. I think the way you tackle this challenge by bringing in the stakeholders, the civil society, of course the government, and doing all this, and the OECD, and doing all this on a sound scientific and data-based foundation is exactly the right way. So once again, I congratulate you for this effort. I'm very happy that Germany can support this work, and we are at your side, and we are with you together in this. Congratulations once again, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Sebastian. Ambassador Andre, please.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, representatives of the government and civil society, and also the Diplomatic Corps and international organizations, really a great pleasure to be here today in the morning and to make these rather short and also somewhat unscripted remarks, I would like to say. First of all, I just want to underline that this is a very important moment, and I think that the work that you have had, indeed, I think that the outline that you put forward is incredibly ambitious. It's a very, very serious work, significant load, I would say, and we are, from our perspectives as the EU, very supportive of it. Kenya, of course, is a very long-term partner of the Open Government Initiative. You have an ongoing action plan, which is coming to an end in 2027. And you have also conducted your review, the midterm review in June 2026. And you have these 4 different clusters of commitments under the open information ecosystem, the financial integrity and accountability, the inclusive democracy and justice, and also the open government resilience. And it's that last one, the open government resilience, where you have committed to the delivery of the State of Openness Report. But I want to say that this is just one of the commitments that actually appears in the action plan, and so we take that as a great step forward, and of course look forward to also working on the other commitments that you have there. We as the EU are working very closely with the Open Government Initiative. We have a global partnership around the Partnership for Democracy and Accountability, and we support that partnership also financially, and that financial assistance has been also to the benefit of Kenya. We believe that we are aligned with Kenya around the objective of the initiative, the fact that, of course, open government is more accessible, more responsive, and also more accountable to the citizens. So the type of things that you and us are trying to improve, I think, every day. It's a non-stop work. You can't really reach the end point. I think this is a continuous process. And so I very much welcome the efforts that you have here. And I think the other element that I want to underline here is the inclusion of the civil society, which we see as also as very important. This is one of the issues for us in the European Union. And so I welcome the group that you have, and also the fact that the civil society is here and is speaking at the launch. We, just like Germany, stand with you, wish you good luck, and if we can be of any assistance, please do come to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Andre. Indeed, you're right to mention that there are several other critical deliverables under the plan, the National Action Plan. And I know that His Excellency the President, for example, has agreed to host the Global Trust Summit towards the end of October to basically bring to bear even greater political commitment, to these imperatives. UNODC, please, and then the World Bank thereafter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, President of the Republic, Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, partners, all protocols observed, good morning. Let me start by saying that it is a pleasure and honor for me to be here and to represent the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and the wider UN system here in Kenya. Let me start by saying that there is strong interest and commitment within the UN system to support this very, very important initiative, and this includes agencies like mine, UNODC, but I'd like to note also other sister agencies like UNESCO and others who are actively engaged in this process. In my intervention, let me say a few words on the UN Convention Against Corruption, the work we do to support implementation of this convention across the globe and in Kenya, and why this initiative to develop a report on the state of openness is important for the implementation of this convention. Kenya is a state party to the UN Convention Against Corruption. Kenya actively participates in the implementation review mechanism for this convention. And Kenya is also a very active participant in the conference of the state parties to support implementation of this convention at the global level. And UNODC is the guardian for this convention at the global level. Based on this partnership, we are very proud that Kenya hosts our UNODC anti-corruption hub here in Nairobi. And we're very proud to promote anti-corruption, to promote good governance, integrity, transparency and rule of law across the African continent from the hub here in Nairobi. At the same time, we are also implementing flagship initiatives that support the fight against corruption in Kenya, and I'd like to mention in particular the program on legal empowerment and aid delivery PLEAD, which is funded by the European Union. The UN Convention Against Corruption requires a comprehensive approach. This means an active response to corruption when it happens and active work to prevent corruption. If we look at some of the trends and developments and results of the work that is happening here in Kenya, I would like to note significant progress during the past year. For example, the volume of stolen assets that have been traced in Kenya is continuously going up, with 22.9 billion shillings recovered during the past year. I note also very important developments in terms of strengthening the legislative framework for the fight against corruption, with the adoption of a Conflict of Interest Act and also a Virtual Asset Service Providers Act in 2025. Likewise, we see important initiatives in law enforcement, in the justice system, in the work of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, with new guidelines on prosecution of corruption and economic crimes adopted by ODPP. Likewise, the Kenyan Prison Service has adopted an anti-corruption policy, and for the first time, the National Police Service conducted a systems review, which is also a very important initiative. Finally, let me note this year the publication for the first time of a survey on the gender dimensions of corruption. And finally, coming back to the topic of this discussion, the State of Openness Report, we believe that this additional initiative is a very important building block to further complement this comprehensive approach in the fight against corruption. Let me confirm with UNODC that we stand ready to support this exercise. This will include methodological support. This can include support with data analysis, cleaning, weighting, and the further development of the report. Finally, let me acknowledge, as was already mentioned in some of the other interventions, the importance of partnerships. We're very happy to see, for example, development of collaboration between the Commission on Administrative Justice and the Kenya Bureau of Statistics in this exercise. Likewise, we see the important involvement of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission as the lead agency on anti-corruption in Kenya, who have committed also to support the report through the recently established African Center for Anti-Corruption Studies and Research. Finally, again, one more time, our full support from the UN system to this exercise. We believe that openness, transparency is important, not just for the fight against corruption, but for trust in the country, for social cohesion in the country. And we know that openness boosts economic growth, it boosts trade, it boosts development. Congratulations on this initiative, and we stand ready to fully support you in this exercise. Thank you.
Your Excellency, my name is Moratha Kinuthia, representing my Divisional Director, Chimiao Fan, from the World Bank. Maybe before I make the remarks on the topic of the day, allow me, with your permission, to thank High Commissioner Matt for recognizing the glorious morning, despite the events of last night. For those who are following the match, Argentina versus England, we are not going to let that slide. But just to say that this important event, at a personal level, I'm very happy. I mean, many years ago, actually, when I worked for DFID, we supported the Access to Information Act that then people were working on, and to have seen the journey that we have walked on is quite good. we've also worked very closely with the OGP agenda as the World Bank globally, and Kenya has always been a leader in this agenda. But I think beyond the sort of conventions that we have spoken about, to bring this down from an abstract to a very real level, one of the projects I lead is FLOCA, the Financing Locally Led Climate Action. And a principal tenet is that communities need to get bill of quantities for projects that are being done. I was in Kwale 2 weeks ago with the governor there in Kinondo, and the first thing that communities asked is, where is the bill of quantities for this project? We've done amazing work with CAJ in supporting counties to develop grievance redress systems. I can say 80% of the complaints we are getting from counties are about information. Now I have to go to Emitiot in Bomet, where we've been asked questions about what was supposed to have been delivered in this. So I think being able to create the kind of benchmarks, indicators that are being mentioned here is critical. And it's not just about international frameworks, it's very real for citizens and communities on the ground. I also want to say that, beyond just a report, it's working on those sort of mechanisms to be able to implement that. And maybe to end, to say that together with our partners, the UK and Denmark, under the Kenya Accountable Devolution Program, we stand ready to support this work and we'll walk the journey with you. Asanteni sana.
Your Excellency, I believe you've been edified by the different presentations that really significantly demonstrate the centrality of this agenda. Allow me then, Your Excellency, with a lot of humility, to request my colleagues to be upstanding as we invite you to address us. Let's put our hands together for the President of the Republic.
Thank you very much. Please, let's take our seats. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this very important meeting. Just by way of background, on, I think, Tuesday, there was an attempt to sneak this report to my office, an attempt which I effectively sabotaged and insisted that discussing openness can only be discussed in an open forum. And therefore, I ask that this meeting be rescheduled so that we can have this meeting in this open place rather than in a room in my office. And admittedly, listening to the vice chair, the chair of the CAJ, and the conversation that is going on here about the state of the openness of our country, I am proudly amazed at how sophisticated a country I lead. I'm sure there are very few countries that undertake this kind of conversation. State of openness is not a common thing. And I am very proud that while I do whatever I do in the office, there are other good Kenyans who are also doing some very useful work on how we can run the affairs of our nation in a space that there is adequate information to citizens and that we are open and transparent, obeying constitutional imperatives of transparency and accountability. And therefore, I commend CAJ and all the partners for undertaking this exercise. A confident government does not fear scrutiny. In fact, it welcomes scrutiny. And I have heard here about the stakeholders. You know, we have people from different spaces, from civil society, from the private sector, from government, from the opposition, and because we are not competitors, we are partners in forging a nation. And therefore, I'm very happy that Kenya is a member of the Open Government Partnership. I have been part of this movement in Kenya since when I was Deputy President. And I'm very happy that we will be making, hopefully in November, the first open government, or did you say open government? State of Openness Report. I think that's quite something. Government does not demand public trust. We must earn it. It is with that conviction that we gather here today to commission the preparation for Kenya's inaugural State of Openness Report. Government does not become weaker by confronting the truth about themselves. They become stronger. Institutions do not earn public trust by demanding it. They earn it by serving the people honestly, fairly, and openly. That is why this administration has chosen to create the very instruments by which it will measure itself. This is more than a technical exercise. It is a national undertaking that reflects not only the value of our Constitution, but also the kind of government we are determined to build. Around the world, trust in public institutions is under growing pressure. Technology has expanded access to information, but it has also accelerated misinformation, disinformation, and the spread and manipulation of fake news. As a result, citizens are asking harder questions of government, and rightfully so. Trust cannot be simply claimed, it must therefore be earned. While I sat here and listening to what we are trying to do, in the context of where we are today, with so much information available in the public space because of technology, and with the accompanying challenges of misinformation and fake news, openness now is much more important even for government than anybody else. I think government needs openness more than any other time in our history. Because unless there is a place where people can get accurate information, unless there is availability of accurate information, and government is open enough for us to be to account for whatever is going on, then we could easily be swarmed by misinformation and fake news. Openness goes beyond administrative practice. It therefore becomes the foundation of democratic legitimacy. Our Constitution recognizes this from the very beginning. Article 10 enshrines transparency and accountability among our national values, while Article 35 guarantees every Kenyan the right of access to information. These are not aspirations. They are constitutional obligations that must be renewed through action. Today's commissioning is one such action. It gives effect to that constitutional promise, fulfills our commitment to institutionalize open governance across all state organs and agencies through an annual State of Openness Report, as pledged in the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, and delivers on Kenya's 5th National Action Plan under the OGP. Kenya's democratic journey has always been defined by our determination to strengthen institutions rather than personalities. As our democracy matures, Kenyans rightfully expect more than promise. They expect openness, accountability, and measurable results. This report responds to that expectation by establishing a national benchmark against which our public institutions can continuously measure and improve their performance. At its heart, it seeks to answer one consequential question: is openness making government work better for the people? Answering that question requires more than measuring compliance with laws, policies, and procedures. It requires us to determine whether openness is improving public services, strengthening accountability, enhancing the stewardship of public resources, making institutions more responsive, and ultimately improving the lives of the Kenyan people. The report must tell us where we are succeeding, where we are falling short, and what reforms are needed to achieve better outcomes. Honest assessment is not a sign of institutional weakness. It is one of the strongest foundations of effective government. And if we are to assess openness, we must do so openly. The methodology must be transparent, the evidence must be credible, the consultations must be inclusive, and the findings must be independent. That is why it is fitting that this important national exercise is being led by the Commission on Administrative Justice, an independent institution entrusted with safeguarding administrative justice and the right of access to information. This inaugural report should establish the national baseline against which future progress will be measured. Over time, it should become Kenya's authoritative reference point on openness, institutional performance, and public trust, guiding reforms, strengthening institutions, and enabling citizens to judge how effectively government is serving them. I therefore expect every ministry, state department, agency, constitutional commission, and county government to cooperate fully by providing accurate information and participating in a rigorous and credible assessment. And I will instruct the head of public service to make sure that all government departments, ministries, agencies avail all the information to this exercise so that we can openly report to the people of Kenya where we are and where we are going. I equally encourage civil society, the private sector, academia, the media, and every Kenyan to participate actively in this process. The strength of this report will depend on the quality of the evidence it gathers and the diversity of the perspectives it reflects. This administration remains firmly committed to building a more open government through greater transparency, stronger accountability, wider access to information, and continued digital transformation. As I say this, I know my special envoy on technology is sitting right here. Right from the beginning, we decided that we were going to eliminate areas that give government gray information. I remember when we started the journey of opening government through digitization, there was a bit of resistance in areas, especially in financial spaces. I remember we had close to 1,000 pay bills in government. Every state department had their own corner. Every agency had their own thing. We decided that we were going to digitize the whole of government. Government services that were digitized in 2022 were about 350. Today, we have 26,000 government services digitized. And on a digital platform, people can access government information, government services, pay for those services. We have eliminated, to a great extent, payment in any other form other than digitally, because you can easily trace who paid, where was it paid, for what service. I remember we ran into a lot of problems with people who did not want to pay for government services on the digital space. They still wanted to carry cash, they still wanted to carry checks, and we insisted that going forward, no government service is going to be paid for in cash. No government service is going to be paid for otherwise, other than either by electronic transfer or by other digital platforms. And the results have been phenomenal. We have not only enhanced government revenue collection, but we have also eliminated, the sticky cash, transactions that end up undermining transparency and, in fact, promoting corruption. And so it was our first point of call to say we must move government services from being on paper and many other spaces onto a digital platform. Number two, we undertook that government procurement is also going to be done on a digital platform so that we know who is tendering, for what amount is it being tendered, and who are the ultimate beneficial owners of the companies that are trading with government. The EGP platform has been there for the last 12 years, but it has never been implemented until we did it last year. Again, it's providing us with an open platform where government procurement is subjected to scrutiny. And so long as you participate, the data is available. We know who is applying, we know for how much, and we know who has been awarded and why. And are they the most competitive or are they not? There is still some little pushback in some areas, but I'm very happy that we are making demonstrable progress. The third item that I want to quote as we do this report is government-owned agencies or government-owned enterprises. We've been grappling for the last 15 years on making sure that those who serve in boards of parastatals and government agencies are competitively recruited and we minimize political influence. The most difficult things, I remember the report, the first report on government-owned enterprises produced by Abdikadir was done 12 years ago, but it was not possible to implement. We tried to take it to Parliament, it became difficult, but I am very happy that finally, last year, we managed to pass the law on government-owned enterprises, and as a result, boards of commercial enterprises, 66 of them, we have had to retire close to 250 board members so that we can competitively hire professionals to run those parastatals. And we set the benchmark very high. And I must commend Parliament because Parliament passed a law that actually limits the participation of politicians in boards. The GOE Act bill that I signed into law now says if you have been in a political office for, you cannot serve in parastatal boards at least for 5 years. You must stay out for 5 years. So that has been a very big bone of contention. But finally, we are now recruiting professionals to run Kenya Airports Authority, and many other agencies to introduce greater openness, bring more independent people into the management of government resources or government institutions. And all of us know of the conflict of interest bill that stayed in Parliament for a while because it provided greater scrutiny and demanded more openness in transactions that involve people that wield political power from whatever level. And that demand is now part of our statutes, injecting greater transparency, more openness, and I am very sure greater accountability to the people. And I remember quite recently when we enacted the National Infrastructure Fund Act that will manage quite a pool of resources in our infrastructure space. We also crafted into the law a proper mechanism that will introduce greater openness and greater transparency in the management of that fund. The only participation of the president is to appoint the council. And I appointed the council of eminent people, people who had served at the Afri-Exim Bank and many other places. And they now undertook the process of recruiting a competent board. And the board then will do the rest to create more buffers that limits conflict of interest or people getting into spaces where there is no greater accountability or transparency. I am very happy that that process is moving in the right direction and we are injecting greater believability and confidence in the people of Kenya to know that their resources are being managed properly. So this report speaks to the very things that I strongly believe in. And therefore you have, and so the chairman said that to demonstrate my commitment to openness, I should come and participate in the State of the Openness Report, the launch. Mr. Chairman, I don't have to demonstrate by coming to, I already believe in it. So I will come as part of making sure that this happens, but not in any way to demonstrate my commitment. I am very committed. This is an exercise that, this is a journey I've walked with the OGP over time. It is therefore my honor to formally commission the preparation of Kenya's inaugural State of the Openness Report and to direct the relevant public institutions to extend their full cooperation to the Commission on Administrative Justice in delivering a rigorous, independent, and nationally significant assessment. I know that you have mentioned about some resources that are required. The AG should work with the Treasury to make sure we avail the resources necessary for them. I remember you mentioned something like 100 million. AG, please, let's find, and if you run into trouble, you look for me, so that we can support this. We can support these good people. And Mr. Chairman, I will make sure that all other people that are that need to provide information will do so. So that. Thank you very much. May this report become a lasting measure of our fidelity to the Constitution, our accountability to the people, and our determination to build a government that earns trust through openness, integrity, and service. I want to thank our partners for agreeing to work with us. I invite all other stakeholders, the media, the private sector, the civil society, our independent commissions, and everybody else to be part of this exercise as we grow our country into a mature, open, independent, democratic state. Again, I am very proud this morning to be a leader in a very sophisticated country like Kenya. Thank you very much.
Please, you may sit. Thank you for your kind comment, Your Excellency. Allow me to invite Ambassador Thigo to give a vote of thanks. And with your permission, following the vote of thanks, with your permission, we will have a couple of photos first with our development partners and CAJ, and then they will be followed by yourself, Your Excellency, and our colleagues from civil society as well, and a few others. Thank you very, very much. Ambassador Thigo.
Thanks so much, please. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Honorable Attorney General, PSS Constitutional Affairs and PS Foreign Affairs. Your Excellency, let me start by, if you allow me, just to mention a word or two. When we were thinking about this report, there's one thing you always say, Your Excellency. No country can develop beyond its knowledge capacity. And so we use that as a grounding, Your Excellency, because if you think about the report, without fact, we cannot have truth. Without truth, we cannot have trust. Without trust, we cannot have a sense of shared reality. So this is to thank the Commission for taking that vision and translating into the report, because in this era of intelligence and misinformation, disinformation, we need a single source of truth for the country. So thank you. It's a vote of thanks to the Commission for taking that vision. It's been 2 years of hard work to get here. We know how difficult it was. Let me thank the development partners. Let me single out the United Kingdom, because you are taking over from His Excellency the President after 6 years of being in the OGP Steering Committee. 6 years in the committee, 1 year as co-chair. And thanks again, Your Excellency, because of your co-chair, now a Kenyan is actually the OGP Steering Committee co-chair at the global level, Stephanie Mushai. So as we reiterate out, we leave a Kenyan in the steering committee, and that is because the President has really carried this for the last 10 years. Let me also thank, of course, Principal Secretary Dr. Kori Sing'oei, because I think it's not a light lift to talk about openness, but also to lead, Your Excellency. This is the first State of Openness Report in the world. It's not just Kenya, it's in the world. So this democratic experiment that the President is leading could actually provide some blessings to other countries. So democracy is being exported from Kenya to the world. So take lessons, my colleagues. Let me thank also the development partners. Of course, the EU, Germany, you've really been a good partner for us in OGP. The United Nations system. The EU, you've supported both the EU Global, the OGP Global, but also our media review, but also ensuring that the state of openness gets fruition to where we are. The World Bank, especially with CAF, but also with devolution, because ultimately it's about delivery of services, but also meeting the promise of the country. I think also, let me thank in the absence of the Parliament, the parliamentary co-chairs of the OGP caucus who've really supported us to ensure that open government is just not an executive matter, but also cuts across Parliament, ensuring that Parliament is also open. And finally, let me thank civil society. I think it's not by light measure that the PS mentioned this, that in the wake of fractures in the democratic space, I think our civil society, Your Excellency, those are who are part of the OGP multi-stakeholder forum have been quite consequential in terms of ensuring that we always have a space for conversation, for mitigating potential issues of what I call largely misunderstanding based or bearing from misinformation, disinformation. So for the last 3 years, Your Excellency, the civil society, and this is everybody, this is Transparency International, Amnesty, TIA, Katiba, have been quite instrumental, Your Excellency, in just not ensuring that we have a conversational spaces that we can speak, but also a space where we can solve problems. And I think it's important, as Your Excellency, you said, dialogue is the basis of building a constitutional democracy that is strong, but also that bears fruit in the understanding that this is the only country we have. So thank you so much, Your Excellency, and finally to you for hosting us. Because I think leadership, as you've seen, he doesn't have to prove it. 10 years of carrying open government, even when democracy has receded, 72% of the world is under autocracy. 72%. So for His Excellency to carry this and to begin to show the world that democracy potentially is the only system that we can believe in and can be led from the top in a very sophisticated country that is #1 on use of social media is very difficult. Thank you, Your Excellency. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Thigo. Your Excellency, with your permission, we will have the few photos, first with the development partners, CAJ, the Attorney General, and PS Constitutional Affairs.